Hi, my name is John, and this is my good buddy Andy, and you're listening to the Packers Blitz podcast, the podcast done by two diehard Packer fans who survived the dark times of 1980s Packers football and lived to talk about it. And Packers Blitz is always dedicated to the greatest fans in the NFL, Packer fans. Oh! So, Andy, what's this Thursday?
It is the 2024 NFL Draft coming up,
Yeah.
finally.
So, so
A few days away, John. Beep, 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 beep,
we
beep, 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 beep.
we we have this Thursday live Packers Blitz draft super duper super draft special. Yes, I can't say the things I wrote down here. It was a joke to see if I could sucker my good friend into saying some things on
Right,
here,
yeah.
but he's smarter than that, and he didn't say it, and I was about to say it, but we got to keep this PG-13. So again, we're going to be on YouTube. So we're going to have a chat open. You guys can go on there, check it out, ask some questions. Tonight's podcast is going to be about the rest of the draft choices. And we're going to make it really quick because 5, 6, and 7 is typically, you don't find a lot of gems, but sometimes, you get lucky. But anyway, super duper duper Packers Blitz draft special. Be there, get on. Hey, we understand that we're just a small cog, COG, in the NFL and
The
media
NFL's very large wheel
wheel,
that's
extremely
always
large
in
wheel.
motion. Yeah.
And yeah, but hey guys, if you could just tell a couple of friends, if we can beat, we had last time we had 44 people at one time watching us, and I know you're probably saying that's it, but you know what, for Andy and I, we'll take anything. Because again, we don't have the budget, which is two guys who have seen Packer football for a very very long time, and I think we have a good insight into seeing many drafts to see what works and what doesn't work. But with that being said, it's like I said, Thursday, we're going to start around 7, a little bit after. Maybe we'll do a little pre show if we can get everything set up. Again, we don't have a studio. We're at each other's houses on draft day, and we're going to try to do it as best as we can to have this as smooth as possible. So, all
Yeah.
right. So,
Yep.
Andy, take it away.
Yeah, so my good buddy John and I are extremely excited to bring all of you our in-depth analysis and wrong predictions, typically wrong
Wrong.
predictions on on draft night. Predicting a Packers first round selection is like
Mm,
pulling a needle out of a haystack.
absolutely.
I believe that's an idiom. So putting idioms aside, or
Absolutely.
idiots
Yeah.
aside like us, this is really a culmination of many months of hard work that gets thrown
Mhm.
out the window come draft day,
Mhm.
right, John?
Mhm.
That is
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
the NFL draft is so much fun, though, because
Yeah,
it's
right.
so darn unpredictable, right?
It is. It is.
And John and I love it. So
Yeah.
tune in and watch us this Thursday evening. And again, the draft starts at 7 p.m. typically sharp, right?
Typically. Yeah.
Central Standard Time, folks.
Mhm.
So yeah, so looking forward to it, John. Did you have a good
Yeah.
weekend, John? Usually you're the one asking
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, buddy. I had, we got some things done around the house. I have to admit, and I'm not ashamed of this. I am watching UFL football. It's not so bad. It's not as bad as you think. They do something different just really quickly is they do have extra points, but typically you want to go for 2. And I know that's been something we can talk about during the regular season. I personally think that's a great idea that you only kick field goals and you kick off. There are no more extra points, that you go for 2 points each time you score a touchdown. I think it'd be more fun, but we'll
Yeah,
see.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, so
Yep.
let's get right into it.
Yeah, I did wanna say, John, I had a really
Oh,
great
yeah.
weekend as well, did a lot of hiking with my lovely wife.
Oh,
I
yeah,
We
yeah,
hiked
yeah.
the, Ice
Hey,
Age
buddy.
Trail in Baraboo, Portage, and Lodi, and the Ice Age Trail is a hiking trail that basically outlines where the glaciers came down into Wisconsin, and there's 1,200 miles of it. So we hiked a very short
Mhm.
little few segments of that, but we had a really
Wow.
nice time. So I just wanted to mention that. Shout out to my wife for planning all that, and
Yeah,
so it was a lot of fun. I am a little
love
bit
it.
worried though, John, and I forgot to bring this up about
Mm, mm.
Thursday that the
Why?
Packers just may trade out of their first round selection.
That's
And
yeah, we'll
again,
get into that.
we're like we'll already be on probably for 3 hours. It'll probably be around 10 o'clock
Uh-huh,
or past 10 o'clock,
uh-huh.
which is
Yep.
past your
Yeah,
bedtime, right? So
yeah, I'm
that's
an old man.
about the time that they're gonna make their selection at
Mhm.
25. So I didn't know if you had any
Right.
comments about that, but it has happened in the
Well,
past, hasn't it? Where we're all
yeah,
excited, it gets to our pick, and the
yeah,
Packers
Ted
trade out
Thompson.
of the trade out
Ted
of
Thompson.
yeah. He
Yeah,
did
Ted
that
Thompson
once.
was notorious for doing but here's the thing really quickly before we get to 5, 6, and 7 is if your offensive lineman's not there, if your safety is not there, if your linebacker is not there, yes, trade out, right, Andy? Wouldn't that make sense? I
Yeah,
would,
I would
because
too.
why sit there and get a guy I always use I'm gonna do the really quick story. I love this is my favorite draft day story ever when it comes to the Packers. Remember, the Packers had a shot at, yes, Ray Lewis. In fact, Ron Wolf was ready to draft him at 24. He had everything set up. He had talked to Ray Lewis. There's articles out there where Ray Lewis was talking to the Packers and he was like, oh, okay, great. That's fine. I can come in there. At that time, the Packers, were, still a very good team and had Super Bowl aspirations and then the freaking Baltimore Ravens threw a curveball and took Ray Lewis a pick before when they didn't even need him. They took him because why? He was the best player available at that position. And so Ron Wolf it wasn't unconsolable, but he was like, what just happened? Because he nobody knew this was gonna happen. And I give it up to I can't remember his name right now, the tight end who was a really good GM, and I'm blanking on his name,
Oh,
that
yeah.
played,
Yep. Ozzie
anyway, we'll
Newsome.
find Ozzie Newsome.
Yep.
He's a great GM, by the way. He built that Baltimore team to win and be a solid team. He was a hell of a GM. And then so when we did that, what happened was everybody went, who's there? And then we panicked and we overreached and we took a guy named John Michaels
Michaels.
ta-
Uh,
m- out of, I believe he's out of USC. I'm not sure.
yeah, he was.
He
Yep.
sucked. He was horrible. He was a
Yeah,
turnstile.
turnstile. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Not a
And
good left tackle,
Ron
not a
Wolf,
good anything.
no,
Yeah.
No, and Ron Wolf to this day said, "I should have traded out of the pick. I should have traded with somebody else, got a couple of second rounders or moved down later in the first, got another second or third, and tried to get some, steals and some other guys that could come in and help us on special teams as well as in depth." But he kind of panicked and the Packers panicked and they said, he's this John Michaels is on the board. Okay, let's take. And they
Mistake.
didn't feel good about the pick. Yeah, they didn't feel good about it.
Yep.
So again, in this draft, it's the same thing. If you're not feeling good about that pick at 25 and you're like, oh man, nobody's really can because you don't want a special teamer at 25. You're like, screw that. I can get a special teamer in the fifth, sixth, and seventh round. I'm not gonna get some guy that's just going to play special teams that I'm going to have to pay a first round salary for. And, there goes my salary cap. And so I could see that as a big, big thing. The draft boards are moving around like crazy. it's insane how many people have changed their picks on the Packers. I mean, now I don't even know who it is. They've changed it
Yeah,
so much.
that's true.
And Cooper, good old Cooper, Jajan, whatever his name is,
Gene or something. I think it's the
DeGene,
John,
yes.
but
Yeah, whatever.
whatever it is.
He's not gonna folks, Packer Blitz fans, I'm gonna tell you this again, he's not there at 25. He's gone by 15 or 16. Wouldn't you agree, Andy?
Yeah, or well, I've seen him going in the low 20s, so he won't
Yeah,
be there probably by the time
he
the
won't
Packers
be there.
pick, but there's a
He
possibility, there's always a possibility, but yeah, Goody talked
now
about him in his press conference, we'll
mm,
talk about that a little bit
not gonna
later.
happen. Yeah, yeah.
I
So
did want
gets
I did wanna mention
yeah, go
before
ahead.
we started though, Ray Lewis, middle linebacker, that was back when middle linebackers actually made a difference. So
Did something.
he was an impact player,
Mm,
Hall of Famer, the
oof,
leader of the Ravens defense for well over a decade, and
yeah,
just a fantastic player, a very consistent player
absolutely, man.
with his level of play. So yeah, and we missed out on him unfortunately. So
Yeah,
yeah, you're right. So John, you're talking about like having a collection of guys that you feel comfortable with,
yeah,
and if you don't
right.
feel with they're all about ranked the same, pick
Yep,
any one of them. Like there's maybe three or
yep,
four you got, but if you aren't
yeah,
feeling it, there's maybe a
yeah,
big gap between say like that Ray
yeah,
Lewis and the next guy,
yeah.
then that's a good time again
Trade on him.
to trade back because there's a lot of
Trade on that
teams
pick.
about our pick that are trying to trade back, maybe back into the first round to
Correct,
pick up a quarterback or whatnot.
correct.
There might be one that maybe drops, but there's 4 or 5 that are going to get selected even before our pick at
Mhm,
25. So
mhm.
um, distinct possibility though, John, that they may
Yeah,
trade out of the
yeah.
first round. Odds are
Which
they aren't gonna, but
I don't
yeah,
think they will. Yeah, because there's so much depth as we talked about in 68, 69, and we're talking today in 70, episode 70. So much depth in the offensive line. Someone's gonna fall. Someone's gonna slip. That
yep.
could be an offensive lineman, that could be a linebacker, that could be a running back, that could I don't think it would take a running back at 25, but you never know. You never know. If
And
somebody's there,
that's why, John,
you
I
never
really
know.
think they're gonna stay at 25 from the
Yeah.
standpoint there's a whole group of guys, especially offensive tackles, that are kinda
Yes.
all lumped together, and unless
Yes.
there's some guy that they think is like a Bakhtiari, a future Hall of Famer, that
Mhm.
level of
Mhm.
talent, top,
Yeah.
5 in the
Mhm.
league or whatever,
Yeah.
that's the only reason I would see them moving up and trying to get somebody. I just don't think it's gonna happen. So,
No. Yeah, I don't see
but
that
we could
either.
talk about this all night, but the Denver just today went and got that, quarterback from the Jets. What's his
Zachy.
Yeah, Wilson, is it?
Zach
Yep.
Wilson.
So again, they're sitting at, I think, 12. Uh, they may be less
Yeah.
inclined to maybe draft a quarterback now. I don't know.
Ah.
So anyway, so there is a possibility again. There might be some movement up toward, the top of the draft that maybe we can trade up, but again, the cost is really really high to do that. Even the move a few spots up, so you're giving
Mhm.
up a lot. So I just don't see it happening because a lot of those players, I'm sure, are kind of lumped together, kind of bunched together. And once you get up to 25 anyway, it's kind of that way. Some of the talent that you can pick up in the later first round, you can also pick up into the middle of the second
Yeah.
round, right? So,
So the Broncos are at 12,
yeah.
which would not be a bad trade because the Broncos need a lot of help, in my opinion.
Yep.
It would that would be a if you could get the 12th pick and give the Broncos your 25th pick and one of your God, I don't wanna give up a
Y-
second,
You'd
probably give
have
them a
to.
3rd.
You'd have
Um,
to. You'd have to
you
give
could
up.
give them a 3rd? Come on, they're the Broncos, they're morons.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get into the 5th, 6th, and 7th picks, huh?
Yeah, so we're going get into the fifth round, the Packers Blitz mock draft selections. We are pick 34 in the fifth round, which is a compensatory
Mhm.
pick, 169th overall, just to let everybody know. So
Mm.
we only got one pick in the fifth round, and it's not even our pick. So it's compensatory. So it actually is a little bit past the normal picks. That's why we're at 34. If you're wondering, because people are like, well, there's only so many teams in the NFL. Yeah, we're
Yeah,
pick 34 in the fifth round because
yeah.
we got a compensatory pick. So anyway, we've got some players. I'm going to list off some of the ones that I came up with that we have a possibility of taking in the fifth round.
Mhm.
Quarterback Joe Milton the third from
I like that.
Tennessee, quarterback. He is 6'5" and
I
234
like it.
pounds, so he's a big guy. According to
Mhm.
NFL.com, he is a rare physical specimen with the proverbial arm talent to make all the NFL throws. You hear that all the time.
Mm.
But he's prevented from doing so by a lack of timing,
Yeah,
accuracy,
sounds like
and
Clifford.
touch. End
Mhm.
quote. So Joe Milton makes highlight reel plays with his cannon
Yeah.
arm and his legs. However, his lack of development over 6 seasons is discouraging. His NFL Gen Stats put him at 72 out of 100, which is good, and grades out as a backup quarterback. So he's a guy to bring it that they may bring in just to get some competition in the quarterback room, right, John?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
he's projected to go in the fifth round. That's why I mentioned him. Be probably a good fit with the Packers because of his size and his arm talent. Second individual I wanted to mention was running back Ray Davis from Kentucky. He's been on a lot of draft boards for a lot of these pundits. And so I've seen him pop up quite a bit. He's 5'8" and 211 pounds.
Mm.
So he's short, but he's big running back at 211. He's
Yeah.
regarded as a versatile three down all round back due to his pass catching skills, elusiveness, and ability to break tackles. USA Today's Donovan James stated that Ray Davis may be a sleeper in this week's NFL draft.
Mm.
However, Davis turns 25 during the
Ha!
season, which
Wow.
could affect his draft stock somewhat. He's a rookie who will be pretty darn old in running back years, right, John?
Yikes.
So
Yeah.
he is a really good all round back, but he's going to be 25. And again,
Mm.
you got running backs that are out of the league by the time they're 27,
Yeah.
28, right?
Right, right. Yeah,
So
right.
yeah, so that is a drawback to him.
Very big
Then
drawback.
interior offensive lineman Drake Nugent from Michigan. He actually played center for
Mm.
them this year. He's six
Yeah.
foot 1.5 inches tall, which is kind of short actually for most of the players that the Packers draft on the offensive line, and 298 pounds, which is a little bit light also. Another notable interior lineman who helped again Michigan win a national championship and earned all Big Ten first team honors.
Mm.
He is a bit undersized again, and may only suited to play center in the NFL. So he's going to be kind of
Mhm.
restricted. However, the Packers may be running out of patience with starting center Josh Myers. And
Yeah.
Nugent has a very high football IQ. So he should be able to play center again at the NFL
Yeah.
level. You got to be really
Mhm.
smart, right? Plus, you cannot overlook
Absolutely.
the success that Michigan had running the football in 2023. They're running the football down people's throats. Even Ohio State,
Mm.
that game against them, that's all they did, just ran the ball the entire time.
Yeah, that's
JJ
right, yeah.
McCarthy really didn't have to throw the ball at all. I don't think he only threw like
Mm.
5 passes,
Yeah, I don't know,
in the Big
yeah,
Ten
right.
championship. I mean, seriously. So,
Yeah, come on.
last guy I want to mention is cornerback Elijah Jones from Boston College. Yes, Boston College. He's 6 foot 1.5 inches tall, also just like Drake Nugent, that lineman they were just
Mm.
talking about, and he's 185 pounds though, so a lot lighter than Drake Nugent is. He's been considered a big time prospect. That's a quote. Ran a
Mm.
4.44 second 40-yard dash and had a 42.5-inch vertical leap, which is really tall, really high leap at the scouting
Mm.
combine. During his
Wow.
final 2 seasons, Jones has 7 interceptions and 28 passes defensed. Just like quarterback Joe Milton, he had a 6-year playing career, which has also included 457 special team snaps. So
Mm,
again, the key there was Boston College, John.
yeah.
So my
There you
fifth
go.
round selection is Elijah Jones at pick 169. The Packers select someone who new defensive coordinator Jeff Halfley has coached and already worked with. He won't
Mhm.
offer much in run support. However, he will do a good job tracking routes and attacking throws for forced interceptions and incompletions. So again,
Yeah.
he forces a lot of incompletions because of his size, and he also forces a lot of ints, which they're looking for. They're looking for guys that can, help with the turnover game, right? Which we were
Yeah.
horrible at last year in our secondary.
Yes.
Plus, he can chip in and help on special teams as well, John.
Mhm.
If he's there, Elijah Jones will be too good to pass up. So I'm picking
Yeah.
my selection for the Packers in the 5th round would be Elijah Jones, cornerback out of Boston College. So, John,
Nice.
do you have any guys you want to talk about in the 5th round that you think we might
Yeah.
take? And
Yeah. So I have a couple. One is a tackle. His name is Kadeen Wallace. He's from Penn State. And he is, Penn State always really has, they're just coached well, right? And he does pretty good with running blocking, pass blocking, not too bad. His overall Pro Football Focus grade was 68.8, not great. He again, he only gave up 1 sack last year. He is a tackle. He could be right tackle or left tackle, but he kind of switched around. He doesn't really he's a little bit of a work, I mean, he's not going to be day 1 guy, but he could sneak in there and hopefully help. Give him some depth, give people competition. So that was one of my guys. The other one of my guys was a actually defensive end from Michigan, Braden McGregor. He is the reason I'm thinking they're gonna do one of the go back to defense again is I think Jeff Halfley's going to be in Goody's ear and saying, "Hey, I need players. You got to build my team." And I think Goody is going to go, "Okay." So Michigan again, they won the national championship. Everybody knows. One of the things he's 6'5".
yeah,
He's like close to 300 pounds. He's like a Lucas Van Ness in that sense, kind of big, tall, lanky kind of guy, but he's chiseled. You know what I'm saying? He had 4.5 sacks last year and 9 tackles for losses in 15 starts. So, not too bad. I mean, he's from Michigan, he's coached well. He could really be, you know, at least on defense, could really help out again. And then my other guy, just really quickly, is a quarterback. and his name is Devin Leary, and he's out of Kentucky. I watched him during because I watch a lot of college football. He's like the other guy we mentioned from Tennessee. He can make all the throws. He's over 6 feet tall. He's a big guy. He has good legs, good mobility. Problem is, he's not very accurate,
mhm,
and he's what did they say? Timing, but he could come in and be competitive, and Cootie has been talking about, I want to draft multiple quarterbacks like Wolf used to do. Wolf would draft like 2 quarterbacks and then bring them in, and then, most of them didn't work out. But he just so, hey, let's kind of, push the Sean Clifford, see what we got. One thing about Leary was he he had one of the only 4 Power 5 passers with at least 8 completions of 50 yards. So this guy can sling it. That's my point. So he's like, when you put like, I don't know, all these power five passers, how they figure this out with Pro Football Focus, he can sling it. Like, so he had 8 completions, 50 yards, over 50 yards in 2023. So he's bombing it. And that's where Kentucky was last year. They were a very just really clicking offense and just go out there and be really aggressive. But again, is he worth taking up a spot? I don't know. That's a tough one on me. But what I think in the end, they're going to go to defense again. And with the 2024 pick in the 5th round, the Green Bay Packers select Michigan defensive end Braden McGregor. And I just think, again, they're just going to be in his ear and just going to be like, oh, we drafted offensive, we got our running back, we got our offensive lineman, because I think they're going to get somebody in the 4th running back and offensive lineman, and probably a wide receiver, and then go back to defense in the 5th. So that's who I'm picking. And again, he's not going to be a day one starter, but he is someone that can come in and, hey, stuff the hole, set the edge, be able to, get in there and hopefully get some depth. So give some guys a little bit of rest and give it a really nice rotation for us. So that who I am picking in
And
the
you
fifth
and you
round.
only picked him because you stayed in McGregor Hall when you went to school at Platteville, right? McGregor.
Yes.
You just wanna say McGregor
McGregor.
all the time.
McGregor. Okay.
So, yeah, that's another reason you selected him, right? Well, that other guy, that other offensive lineman from Penn State, we selected Rasheed Walker, right, from Penn State as well. So that's a
Correct.
distinct possibility if they like the
Yeah.
tackles coming out
Once
of
they,
Penn State. So, yeah, who
yeah,
knows?
they're always coached really well.
Yeah.
They are. They're coached
That's
very
a
well.
good choices there. So, yeah, I think you're probably right. They will go back and do defense.
Yeah.
I've
Or
got
they do
overall, I've
safety
got
or
them
well,
selecting more defensive players than offensive players, not to ruin it for everybody, but
yeah.
I'll go back through that a little bit
I
later.
think everyone thinks that.
So, we're going to move on to the 6th round now and our mock draft. We have pick 26, which is our pick in the 6th round, and that's 202nd overall. And then we have pick 43, which is compensatory, of course, everybody, and that's 219th overall. So we got 2
Hmm.
selections in the 6th round. So here's some of the guys that I think actually that we may pick. So we've got 2 selections again in the 6th round. One of those players, there's a whole bunch of linebackers that I saw come up over and over and over again that kind of fall in that range. We've got
Mhm.
inside linebacker Tyron Hopper out of Missouri. John, you probably saw him come up over and over
Mhm.
and over again.
Yep.
He is
Yep.
6'2", so he's pretty tall and 231 pounds.
Mhm.
He is a long-limbed physical player who can range from sideline to sideline. He ran a 4.5 second 40-yard dash, so 4.540. Hopper is an effective blitzer with quick closing speed to run a quarterback down. He is a very instinctual playmaker with the ability to detect and react swiftly. And most importantly, he is a big, big hitter who disrupts plays. If the Packers don't draft an inside linebacker day 2, then Hopper might be the guy day 3. So
Yeah,
just
I
look
like it.
out for the Pittsburgh Steelers, though, everybody. They
Oh,
love this
yeah.
type of playmaker in their
Yes,
linebacking
they
core.
do.
I would guess they'll probably be looking at him in this round, and they would be picking before us. So, which means we might
Mhm.
have to like maybe give away one of our other picks in the 7th round or 6th
Mhm.
round to move up a few spots and maybe get ahead of them. So I'm just saying he'd be a guy that a lot of teams might covet right about then and there, right, John? Plus he's super
Yes.
fast. I mean, 4.5 second 40-yard dash is pretty fast for an inside linebacker, right?
That's fast.
Yep.
Yeah.
Another linebacker, outside linebacker this time, Brennan Jackson out of Washington State. He is 6'4" and
Mm.
264 pounds. He is he is a highly athletic football player. We've heard that before, haven't we, John? With a
Yeah.
relative athletic score, RAS score of 8.97, so pretty high. Again, he is Goody's type of player, athletic.
Mhm.
Coming
Mhm.
off the edge, Jackson had 8.5 sacks and 12.5 tackles for loss in 2023. So he's pretty darn productive.
Yeah.
However, he does need some
Never.
refinement and honing of his pass rushing skills,
Mm.
especially due to his overuse of bull rushes. It's kind of like our
Yeah.
first round pick from last year, right, John? Lucas Van Ness.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
needs to.
Van Ness, he
Yeah,
just kept trying to use strength, right? He's gotta get past that.
right.
You can't do it in the NFL.
So
Can't do it every time.
Packers also, John, Packers Plus fans out there, they could use some depth at edge with Kingsley and Igbare out indefinitely with an ACL tear in his
Mhm.
knee.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
they're probably gonna draft somebody or pick somebody up in free agency once the draft is over. But he's a prime candidate in the sixth round, so that's why I mentioned him.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
yep, very good possibility right there. Outside linebacker
Absolutely.
Brennan Jackson. And then back to inside linebacker. Another linebacker that we might take is Jalen Ford out of Texas. He's inside linebacker, but he's 6'3" tall and
Right.
242 pounds. He is a steady tackler, unlike former starter Devondre Campbell. He has the ability to run deep in coverage with wideouts. Ford, oh, sorry,
Mm.
ripping on Devondre again. Ford also has a nose for the football, as evidenced by 6 career interceptions and 4 career forced fumbles. So that's Jalen Ford out of Texas. And another player that I wanted to mention was defensive tackle Jaden Cromedy out of Mississippi State. He is 6'5" and 305
Ooh,
pounds. According to
holy
Wendell
moly.
Pereira of A to Z Sports, this is what Wendell has to say. Last year, the Packers found a good interior defensive lineman in the sixth round with Carl Brooks.
Go Brooks.
It would still make sense to add another piece. And
Mm.
Crumedy is a high floor option with good anchor and power to play inside. End quote. He will need to work on his pass rushing skills. However, he has shown the ability to collapse the pocket with pure power. Also, he is consistent, in mirroring pocket movements of the passer. So he should be able to bat down passes with his tall frame. And so that's Jaden Cromedy out of Mississippi State. And the last one I wanted to let everybody know about was cornerback Ryan Watts out of Texas. So these are
Mm.
all defensive players, John. I think I picked.
Yep.
Yep, sorry.
I know.
That's where they're falling
Yep.
in the sixth round here.
I hear you.
He's Ryan Watts is 6'3" tall. Again, he's a cornerback. That's pretty tall and
Mm.
208 pounds. So he's a pretty big cornerback. According to Keith Sanchez of the Draft Network, Ryan Watts possesses the ideal length and athleticism to develop into a starting caliber zone corner in the NFL. End quote. Also, he is a player who, based on formation, can play safety and still do an adequate job of tackling. If the
Mm.
Packers don't select Elijah Jones in the fifth round, like I thought they were going to, then Watts may be their guy in the sixth. Another guy, again, who they can develop into hopefully someone special, right, John? So that's who I've
Yes.
got. Those, what, 5 guys, 6 guys, 5 guys, and all defensive players. So that's kind of how they just fell. And so my prediction for pick 202, which is our selection in the sixth round, is outside linebacker Brennan Jackson out of
I
Mississippi
like it.
State. This is
I
usually
like it.
when Goody likes to draft those pass rushers with size,
Mhm.
athleticism, and potential. Jackson checks all of those boxes.
I
Preston
like it.
Smith's consistent level of production and availability has been impressive. However, the Packers make a Preston Smith clone type of pick and look to the future. So I've got them, John, at pick 202, taking Brennan Jackson, outside
Mhm.
linebacker. He's kind of an edge guy out of Washington State. You know, they're going to take somebody like that, John, that has been productive at the
Mhm.
college level, gets a lot of sacks, blah, blah,
Absolutely.
blah. Again, they've got to
Mhm.
find a way to solidify that position a little bit in the draft. So I've got them doing that. And then at pick 219, I've got them taking that defensive tackle, Jaden Crumedy. I just love that name, out of Mississippi State.
Romany.
He is an above average run defender and should continue to improve with better technique. The pick of Crumedy fits the draft and develop mentality that the Packers organization has. Still, Jaden possesses all of the physical tools to become a diamond in the rough. He's tall, fast, and quick. The Packers typically draft that type of player, especially defensive tackles, right, John?
Yes.
Tall,
Absolutely. Yep.
fast, and quick. So he
Yep.
checks all those boxes again. Now, really, John and I, we've talked about this ad nauseum. We need a big mauler, dude. You know, we need a guy who
Mhm.
like eats like 10, 15
Gilbert
hamburgers. That's
Brown.
right. Some Gilbert burger in there, but
The
for
grave
they
digger.
don't draft that way, and it's just
No.
really annoying.
Yeah, yeah.
It
Yeah.
just really just bugs the heck out of me, and they're going to continue to
Mhm.
do it, unfortunately,
Yeah.
Packer fans.
Yeah, they are.
So,
Of course.
John, what are your predictions for the sixth
Uh,
round?
uh, First of all, I love those picks. Those are all excellent picks. Great job. I think you nailed it there. I think we're gonna get one of those too. So now I'm gonna throw you a curveball. I think finally LaFleur goes, "Hey, Goody, are you freaking crazy? You're drafting defense. I got nobody at offense. What the
draft
hell are you
draft a
doing?"
wide
And
receiver or running something.
Goody's
Just
gonna be
skill
like, "Hey,
position player, please.
I'm giving you offensive linemen. What more do you want?" Right? And he's gonna say, "You know what more I want? I want a running back." He's gonna go, "Well, I got you a running back in the 4th." He goes, "No, no, no, no. I need a different type of running back. Somebody, be a little competitive and come in here." So one of the guys they're gonna look at is Marshall's running back, Dylan Lobby. And one of the things about him is he's an interesting gadget player. He ran for over 1,200 yards and caught 68 passes in 2023. He doesn't have breakaway speed, but he's a really good. He can find a way to get open, and just a really good, like, if let's say it's 3rd and 4, right? And you put him in the backfield and they think, "Oh, they're going to get Josh Jacobs, or maybe, Dylan," and they have this guy come in and sneak in and people, like, "Whoa, okay." So, and he played at Marshall. So Marshall's always a competitive school, and I think that's one of the guys they might consider. Now, the other thing is, yes, I know we're gonna go back to safety. And you probably say, "God, Packers blitz, Andy and John, how many safeties are you gonna draft?" And as many as we need. That's all I'm gonna say. And there's this guy, he is out of Texas Tech, safety Tyler Owens. He is one of the best size, speed athletes in the draft. He has, with 5 season total, so he's played 5 years at Texas Tech, okay. He's had over 69 tackles. He only had 1 interception, 7 passes defense, and 2 forced fumbles. But the great thing about him is what? He's athletic. He's versatile. So he can play special teams right out of the gate. You can put him on special teams. He can cover the kicks. He's perfect for, Sachi, just okay, dude, you're out there. Go. And he's day one. Put him out there. And he can, he has good range. He's not gonna crack the starting lineup, but he might be a guy that I don't know, switch in there, just give some people some rest. But again, he's from Texas Tech. think that's always an interesting school. And then the other one is here we go again. Yes, we're gonna go back now to corner again. And there is a guy named Johnny Dixon out of yes, Penn State. You know, I know you're in love with Penn State, John. Hey, they're coached well. What can I say? He's a cornerback. He's how do I say? This is probably I quote Dixon is a feisty man cover cornerback who is just as likely to lead the team in passes defended as he will in coverage penalties. He has the talent to get on to the field, according to scouts. It's definitely special teams day one, but he needs to make some adjustments. He's really aggressive. And I remember watching him in some Big Ten games. Yes, in the NFL, they will throw the flag on him, but he's just feisty. He just gets in there. He does not care. He was covering Marvin Harrison Jr., who's going to be what, top 4 pick, and he was covering him, and Marvin Harrison was having fits with him because he was just all over him. He would not let Marvin Harrison Jr. get past him. And yes, they called flags and pass interference and holding, but you know, Marvin Harrison Jr. didn't have that great of a game that he normally has against other teams. So, you know, again, I know we're defensive heavy, we're safety heavy, we're running back heavy, whatever. But I don't know why, but I just think, boy, they're just gonna get a guy, and I'm gonna say for my one of my picks here, they're going to go and get a guy out of Texas Tech, the safety Tyler Owens, because I just think he's experienced, he has great size, he's athletic, he can come in for special teams and go from there. So that would be the round. I mean, first pick, excuse me, 202. That would be the first one, and then the next pick, 219. Oh man, I don't know if they're going to take the running back, but I think I'm just going to say they're going to take a running back. I don't know if they're going to take this running back, but they will take a running back, and I'll just say Marshall's running back, Dylan Lobby. Now, it might not be him, but I just really see them taking a running back at that pick just because again, I just you can't have enough offensive weapons and you can't have enough guys that are not gadget players, but guys who are versatile, athletic, who can catch passes. This guy caught a lot of passes. So he can do that out of the backfield. So like I said, with 202, we're gonna go with the safety out of Texas Tech and Tyler Owens, and then we're gonna go with Dylan Lobby, the Marshall running back at what 219. So there you go.
Yeah, and you
At least
that's
we'll,
great picks, John. You're trying to fill out your roster with those late round picks.
yeah, yeah,
Create some depth.
yeah,
You're looking for versatile players that can play a lot of different positions, maybe
yeah,
play special
yeah,
teams,
and
be
yeah,
be some
he's
good
special
backups
teams too.
for you.
Yeah,
So yeah,
he's special
that's what
teams
you
too.
do. That's
And,
what you're doing
yeah,
especially in the 6th and 7th
and
rounds.
yeah, and Andy Reid, we should learn from Andy Reid. What has Andy Reid won Super Bowls on? He just has that guy, right? Now, granted, he has Kelsey and Mahomes, and yes, he's got top talent there, but he just has those guys, right? That is just kind of, like, they're not really superstars or anything, but they just find a way to get open. They just find a way to catch the ball, and it's third down and 10. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, who the hell is that?
And they also drafted a ton of secondary people, young
Yeah,
secondary guys
yeah, right.
that played out of their minds for the last
Is
few years, and that's
absolutely.
why also they won a Super Bowl. So,
Yeah,
um,
that's the
there
way
is a
they do
good
it, man.
possibility, John, like we've been talking about, that the Packers will go pretty heavily in the secondary this draft because of
You have
Hafley's
to with
defense.
Hafley. Yeah, you have
So,
to.
he's gonna be
You just don't
playing a
have
lot
enough
of
bodies.
defensive backs, sometimes 6, 7 at a time. So,
Exactly.
you have to have defensive backs then to play, right? And then you have to have guys
Right.
that are defensive backs that can play special teams as well. So, you gotta have them doing a lot of different
Absolutely.
things.
Yeah.
So,
So there you go.
yep.
So now let's get to round 7, my friend.
Yeah. So we have two picks in round seven. We have pick 25, which is ours, and pick 245 overall. And then we got pick 35, which is 255th overall. So we got two picks. So that last one, of course, is compensatory. So because it's
Mhm.
pick 35 in the seventh round. So I'm just going to go through a few selections I have in this round. And I
Sure.
didn't have as many as previous rounds. It started getting really tough, John, finding
Yeah, there's a
people,
lot.
finding
Yeah.
information on who they thought were the Packers were going to take, and ones that I thought that we might take because they kind of came up with some really weird, like long snappers and things like that. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think they're going to
Yeah,
draft
right.
a long snapper, but who knows? They might. But so I've got them possibly taking a couple quarterbacks. And the first one I've got them possibly taking is
Mm,
quarterback Kedon. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that. Kedon Slovis out of BYU. He's 6 foot
mhm,
2.5 and 233 pounds. The Packers said
mhm.
that they want to get competition for Sean Clifford at the backup quarterback
Yeah,
spot, right? So
right.
Slovis was the talk of college football after completing 72% of his passes with 30 touchdowns and 9 interceptions as a freshman in 2019. However, since that time, his overall play and production has declined.
Mhm.
NFL analyst Lance Zierlein says this about him. He has good size and throws with decent timing, but doesn't have enough arm strength to make pro throws into tight windows on a consistent basis. End quote. But again, John, Packers Blitz fans out there, you're going to get this type of quarterback this late in the draft. You know, you're going to have a
Yeah.
guy that is backup at best, but again, has a possibility to maybe make the club as the backup, right? So he's one guy that they've been talking about that we might take. Another guy is quarterback Sam Hartman out of Notre Dame. He's 6 foot 1 inches tall, so he's a little bit shorter than Slovis is,
Mm,
and he's 217 pounds, so he's not quite as big as Slovis is. His arm strength isn't elite, but he could be a steady game manager type of backup. Hartman has a good release and is able to adjust his throwing angles well, which actually in a Packers offense, that's a good fit, right, John? Because you have to change your arm angles
yes.
a lot with those crossing routes and whatnot, with the backs coming out of the backfield, and you got those wide receivers doing crossing routes, right? He
Mhm.
also can get through his route progressions quickly, so he's pretty good at that as well. So that's Sam Hartman out of Notre Dame. And then the last guy I wanted to mention, I think, well, no, I got two more guys, is wide receiver Tulu Griffin. That's his nickname, is Tulu Griffin. Uh,
Oh, nice.
Tulu. He's out of Mississippi
Ooh.
State. He's
Mm,
kind of like
'kay.
that scat, type player, right? He's
Yeah.
5'10" and 180 pounds, which is smaller than they normally draft. He ran a 4.4340. That was nursing a hamstring, John. So
Phew.
he's blazingly fast, and he had a 1.54 second 10-yard split, which is very fast and quick. So he's fast and quick. As a kick returner, he was one of college football's biggest weapons. He
Mm.
averaged 32.3 yards per return last season. 32.3 yards. And for his career, he averaged
What?
30.4 yards per return.
Wow.
Last year, Griffin had 50 receptions and 658 receiving yards, so he had his best receiving year as well. Also, he has been utilized as a runner out of the backfield. Thus, he is an extremely versatile player. Versatile, right, John? Versatile. We hear that a lot.
Where have we
If
heard that before?
if the Packers draft him, they can keep Keyshawn Nixon focused on playing
Right.
nickel in the secondary and use him more sporadically in that role. So you've got, again, I love the name, Tulu Griffin out of Mississippi State.
Nice.
Last guy I wanted to mention was another center. A lot of people think
Mm.
they're going to pick a center, don't they? Center Nick
Yes.
Gargiulo,
Sure.
Gargiulo. I
There
think
you
it's
go.
Gargiulo
Yeah. There we go.
out of South,
Cucciolio.
whatever. Mamma mia. So,
Fenomenal.
so he's out of South Carolina. He's 6'5" tall and
Woo.
318 pounds. Bleacher
Yo.
Report said that his biggest attributes may be his renowned leadership skills and smarts
Mhm.
that show up on tape with alert, clear eyes. End quote.
Hmm.
I'm not
Okay.
sure what alert, clear eyes are. I think he sees
Clear
the
eyes,
field pretty
alright.
well and knows what
Sees
he's
the
doing.
field well,
Okay.
okay. I
In
gotcha.
36 career starts, Garj Gargiulo
Anda.
started 17 games at center,
Ragu. Presto.
14 at left tackle, and
Oh,
5 at guard. So he's not just a center. A
he's
lot of a
versatile.
lot of prognosticators slash pundits think that the Packers will take a center. Duh. Even
Mhm.
more believe in the fact that the Packers draft offensive linemen that can play multiple positions. And that
Multiple
so Nick,
versatile, yeah.
and I, screwed up his name there, but that's
Sorry, Nick.
Gargiulo, however you
Mhm.
pronounce that. I was doing so well with this whole draft, John, with pronouncing
Yeah, I
names. I
know, man.
forgot
You
the
were
last one,
nailing it.
and then I just screwed up.
Nailing.
It's
Killing it,
getting
man.
tired.
Alright.
Okay, so my seventh round predictions at pick
Yeah.
245, they're going to have to make sure their first pick would be on wide receiver Tulu Griffin out of Mississippi State. I got
No.
them taking kind of a special teams guy. Also, he can play wide receiver, run a little bit. So, very versatile player for
Mhm.
them. Another playmaker for Jordan Love to get the ball down the field to in the passing
Nice.
game, right? Or give the ball to him on a reverse in the run
Nice.
game.
Very nice.
In
Very
addition,
nice.
he will be a great option to Keyshawn Nixon again in the return game. So
Yeah.
maybe
Love that.
not him have Keyshawn playing as much and pull a hammy, right?
Duh.
So it gives them some
Don't say that.
versatility. What happens if Keyshawn Nixon goes down? He's not going to go down, but say he goes down, then you
Oh,
have Tulu Griffin to step in,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So
there we
it's a
go.
great
There we go.
great thing to have is a backup
Yeah.
plan, right? At
Yeah.
the very last pick that we have in this year's draft is pick 255, and
Mm.
that's going to be quarterback Tedin Slovis out of BYU. He's a little bit
Really?
bigger quarterback than the guy out of Notre Dame,
Yeah.
and with
Yeah.
some potential again.
Yeah.
So if the Packers don't select quarterback Joe Milton in the 5th round, I think he was the
Mhm.
guy out of Tennessee, John.
Tennessee,
Yep.
yes.
They select Slovis in an attempt to bring about
Mm.
more competition again at backup
More competition.
quarterback.
Yeah, yeah,
So they aren't
equal
going to be
competition.
selecting two quarterbacks, John. Uh,
No.
I don't think that's going to happen. So, but if they do
No, I
pick
don't
one,
see
I
that
think they're going to
happening.
probably do it in a very, very late round, like the 6th or the 7th round. So they probably won't be doing it
Yeah.
all the way in the 5th. I think it's too deep of a draft at certain positions. I think there's still going
Mhm.
to be some good players out there, and I don't see them doing that like they did last year, right?
Mhm. Yep.
So that's who I've got.
Nice. I love those picks again. You're nailing the later rounds, my friend.
Yeah, the
Uh,
7th round was really tough, John. So I don't feel as confident
it
about
is.
those
It
picks,
is.
but you know,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's a good
Yeah.
value pick with Tulu Griffin for sure. The quarterback, I'm just not
Absolutely.
sure. They have mentioned, John, probably 5, 6 different quarterbacks that we might take. So it was really
Yes.
tough kind of
I
picking
saw that
one.
too.
Because they're
Yeah.
all developmental.
Yeah,
they
yeah.
have flaws, right? When you're drafting that late,
Right.
they all have flaws. Otherwise, they'd be being drafted in the
They'd
first,
be
second, and third rounds, right?
first, second.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. Yeah. Okay. So I love those picks, brother. You're nailing it. I'm gonna here's actually a guy that made a pre-draft visit. And one thing we didn't look at is some of the picks who made a pre-draft visit because Andy and I have always said even if they make a pre-draft visit, they usually don't get drafted.
That's what that's
However,
what Goody said in his press conference today.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
what they do.
right,
They do smoke screens. They do it on purpose a lot of times to make
yeah.
other teams
But
think that they're drafting a certain player.
this guy could be one of our picks in the 7th. He is South Florida lineman Donovan Jennings. And what this kid is, what I like about him is he started 47 games in 6 seasons at South Florida with 40 games at left tackle. He started 12 games at left tackle in 2021, but he missed most of 2022. He had a broken leg. But then he returned and started 10 games in 2023. And according to Pro Football Focus, he allowed 2 sacks and only 18 total pressures during his final seasons of 96 offensive tackles in this draft class, who played at least 650 offensive snaps. So he finished 39th in Pro Football Focus pass blocking efficiency, which measures sacks, hits, and hurries per pass protecting snap. So the thing about this is really funny. I just wanted to read this because this is like he has to either be smart or he has a good memory. In 6 seasons, again, Jennings played for 3 head coaches at South Florida and had 5 offensive coordinators. So he had to learn 5 different offenses in 6 seasons. I mean, come on, man. I don't care who you are. You gotta have a brain for that because that's changing each offense each year. It's like coming in and being like, "Okay, instead of running, we're passing. Instead of passing, we're running." We're you know what I'm saying? It's like crazy. So that is one guy. The other guy, I think this is an interesting pick, and I saw him, I believe in the Rose Bowl. Was it the Rose Bowl, the national championship? Dylan Johnson, running back out of Washington. This is if we don't get our running backs. Johnson ran for 233 times last season for over 1,100 yards and 16 touchdowns for the national runners up. He did spend first 3 seasons at Mississippi State and caught an eye-popping, I quote, 65 passes in 2021 and 173 passes in his college career. So he can really catch, right? And what do we need out of the backfield? Somebody who can catch. One of the draft guys, Bruger, and I quote, said that Johnson is best suited for a complementary role at the next level, showcasing his decision making, traffic burst, and diversity on passing downs. Although teams understandably have concerns about his body holding up, he has plenty to offer NFL offenses. He's been kind of banged up. He got banged up in the national championship game, if I remember. And I think if this guy falls, I'm at least taking a look at him and saying, let's bring him in and see what he can do. The last guy is we go back to defense again, and it's safety kid Josh Proctor out of the Ohio State University. So I'm like, okay, we'll kind of see where that's sitting. So there's not much about him other than he plays at Ohio State. He's a good rangy kind of guy, special teams guy. If he's in the 7th round, he's not a top flight safety. He's gonna have some learning curves per se. So this is what I'm thinking we're going to do at 202. This is only, again, if we don't have our running back, we want, and we just continue just to bombard with safety and linebacker and defensive tackle and was just draft heavy defense in the middle rounds. I think they're going to go with Dylan Johnson, or excuse me, Dylan. I just lost this thing here. Dylan Jacobs, where he is. Oh, Dylan Johnson, I was right, excuse me. He's,
Like Jacobs.
he yeah, I was like, "Hey," because he is a good running back, and he really, really helped Washington get to the national championship game. And then I think for
And
the
ran all
last pick,
over Wisconsin too. Ran all over us,
yes,
the Badgers.
he crushed us,
Yeah, okay,
crushed us.
yep.
And then I think with the last pick, I'm gonna actually steal one of your picks, and I think the Notre Dame guy you said,
Yeah, he's the guy they've been
Sam
mentioning quite a
Hartman,
bit. Yeah.
I'm gonna steal one of your guys. I know I'm throwing you a curveball, but at 255, I think instead of Tendon Slovis, we take the kid out of Notre Dame as the last pick, Sam Hartman, just because again, I think it comes down to if, and like I said, this is a big if the middle rounds we do not draft offense or little offense and don't get our running back, don't get our wide receiver, don't get our offensive tackle, and they just say they're not there, let's go and just draft heavy defense. And then in the sixth and seventh round, we'll just go offensive lineman or running back or wide receiver and then quarterback. Like, like, okay, here we are. We've got our guys. Let's just get a quarterback. So that's who I think we're gonna get. We're gonna draft last pick in the seventh round of Sam Hartman. And then like before that is Dylan Johnson. So
Yep, and a lot of those picks right at the end, those are great picks, John. They're going to be able to fill out their practice squad as
yeah,
well. You
you're gonna
know,
be able to fill it out. Again, he's like the kid out of Marshall, Lobe, whatever his name was. Marshall, he is just gonna catch. He's just a gadget guy. He's just gonna come in there and he's gonna be a what I always call a Hall of Famer preseason guy. You'll see him in the preseason, you'll go like, holy crap. We got to get this guy like Emmanuel Lewis. Why do I saying Emmanuel Lewis? I'm thinking of
Webster.
yeah, Manuel Wilson. Well,
Yeah.
familiar? No, Manuel Wilson.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. He's our
Yes,
third
I
running
got him
back
right
right now.
here
Yep.
now. Yeah, where he was just out of Fort Valley State. He was just crazy in preseason. He had that
Yeah,
82-yard
he
run
led the
and
league in rushing
yeah, he had
during the preseason,
yeah,
didn't he?
so yeah,
Yeah.
he was just crazy good, and we wind up getting him on the roster. So there you go, my friend. I
Yep.
think we have a really good mixture of offense and defense,
Yeah,
preferably
I like that
defense,
selection
but
of that Notre Dame quarterback. I was
yeah,
really debating between the 2. Yeah, he's
yeah,
considered
yeah.
kind of a game manager, so but he
Yeah,
just seemed a
right.
little bit
He's
too
yeah.
small for me that I just don't think the Packers would select him, but he has
Well,
been talked about quite a bit.
yes,
So
yes.
that is definitely a possibility, but
There we
by
go.
now, everybody's talked about everybody so much.
Mm,
Who knows at this point, right? But we
yeah,
did our best, right? We're all done with that,
absolutely.
our Packers Blitz draft predictions.
Yes.
And so, anyway, just a quick summary for everybody. At least with my picks, the Packers ended up keeping all their picks and making all 11 picks, right? So I
Yep.
ended up having them pick 5 on offense. They picked a tackle, a guard, running back, a wide receiver, and a quarterback. And then they
Mhm.
picked 6 on defense, 2 cornerbacks, 2 safeties, defensive tackle, and 1 edge rusher, kind of outside linebacker. So that's who I had them taking. I really think the only thing that I might change would be the Packers selecting an inside linebacker of some sort. But
Mhm.
they may do that uh, in other ways.
Yeah.
Maybe get a veteran in or whatnot. I don't think that's their priority at this point. I really don't. I think they would probably prefer more of an edge rusher slash outside linebacker, choosing somebody with a lot of talent and a lot of maybe a big bright future in front of them. So the only other thing I wanted to mention too, and John, I don't know if you want to go through some of your selections, but we probably had a pretty even mix of
It
offense.
was an even mix.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So Packers GM Brian Gutekunst even talked about my number 1 pick, which was cornerback Cooper DeJean, in his pre-draft press conference today. Here's
Mhm.
Goody on DeJean, and I'm just going to call him DeJean, though it's probably DeJean.
Jean.
I think it's DeJean playing.
Yeah,
So
probably.
this is Goody on DeJean playing corner and safety, and this is what Goody had to say. I think he can do both. His ability to take the ball away is very impressive. Obviously, he's got some special teams ability as well. So he's a very well rounded player. End quote. But again, John and I said he's probably not going to be there. Anyway,
Nope.
but the of course, all the reporters are, like, asking him questions about certain players, and one of them was my guy, so I figured I'd
Mhm.
mention it. And then, by the way, Goody also addressed the positive sign that Jair Alexander attended the voluntary first part of Green Bay's offseason program. He also got paid, I think, like $700,000 or something like that, but that's
Mm.
beside the point, right, John? Uh,
Yes.
and again, here's a quote from Goody on Alexander and him attending the offseason program and his
Yeah.
thoughts on Alexander. Obviously, last year there were a bunch of conversations with Ja and what we were going through, and I think he's excited to get back to it. End quote. So remember, Packers fans, John, remember Jair was suspended for a game last season after a string of events that made him look like a selfish and bad teammate. He did. He looked selfish and he looked like a bad teammate.
Mhm.
So it would appear that Ja has fallen in line after speaking with Goody and head coach Matt LaFleur. So I hope
Yeah.
that continues for Jair. I hope Ja stays
Mhm.
with the team, and I hope he plays awesome for us. I hopefully he stays healthy too. So,
Yeah.
on a lighter note, here's we're gonna talk, kind of conclude things, and have some parting thoughts. Unless John has more to say about Jair.
No.
So on a lighter note,
Nope, nothing more to say about
on a
that.
lighter note, John and I will be doing Packers Blitz live during the first round of the NFL draft, the 2024 NFL draft, Thursday, April 25th at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. We are looking forward to giving you our pick predictions and talking about Packers football. And that happens all on Thursday, right, John? Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
On a
Super duper.
yeah, on a darker note,
Oh.
there is something I have to expel out of my body and get off my chest before we end tonight.
Ugh.
Typically, John and I end our podcast titled Packers Blitz with Go Pack Go. That makes total sense because that's what true Packers fans chant to support and motivate their favorite team, the Green Bay Packers. Well, recently on NBC's Saturday Night Live, the cast did a comedy skit about artificial intelligence that is always listening. Then, about a minute and a half in, it quickly pivoted into the Packers fan base, Foamation products like cheese heads, and the potential uses of said products. I can tell you all in no uncertain terms that if you watch this 4-minute video, you may not be able to say the Packers fight song or hear it ever again without remembering this comedy skit. John, Packers fans, Packers Splits fans, watch that video and you will be all scarred for life. John and I here at Packers Blitz will continue to say, Go, Pack, go, to close our show. However, it now feels tainted and dirty to do so.
Nice. I like
So
it.
you're going to post that,
Hey,
weren't
you
you, on
yeah,
okay,
I'll
a
post it.
link. Okay. So
I'll post it, yeah,
yeah,
and,
shout out to my son Zach for mentioning it. I'm like, he's like, did you talk about that in the last? No, I did. We didn't talk about that.
no, no, no.
Uh,
I'm gonna talk about,
I don't want to ever talk
stuff.
about that, but
Yeah. So besides that, like I said, we are looking forward to doing our second annual, by the way, draft a super duper blitz special 2024. We're super excited about doing it. And like I said, Andy and I are going to do it just for the love. Hopefully, we can get some of you fans on there. We broke our record. If we can get 50 this year, that'd be awesome. If not, hey, we're having fun anyway because the draft is like Christmas, I always think, and it's just like Christmas morning, right? You come down, if you're a Christmas morning person, you come down, see your presents when you're a little kid, you gotta open them up. And that's the way I look at our draft picks because we don't know, right? We have no idea what these kids are gonna do because really they're kids, most of them, like, 20, 21, and maybe 22 years old, and you're coming into a man's game. Ain't college anymore, man.
Could make our
And
team
it's
even younger,
exciting.
John.
Yeah, and the average
Oh
age,
my gosh.
again, I know you every if you're Packer fans, is 23 years old. Think about when you were 23.
Yeah.
You were probably throwing up on your shoes. You were probably living with your parents still. You were probably looking at college debt and going, "Oh my god, what am I gonna do?" Or you going to your first job and you're like, "Man, I'm excited," and then learning, well, maybe I should go back to college. But anyway, just know I will put the links up on all our social media sites, our Packer Blitz Facebook, our Twitter. I will put it up there so you guys can see it, and it'll be over YouTube. And I'm really excited about it. And it's always fun. Andy and I always have a lot to talk about. We actually talked last year for about 4 hours straight.
Yeah.
So that's we can always find stuff. We can always find topics. And even though I feel this draft will be somewhat predictable, there's always going to be some reaches, there's always going to be some surprises, and there's always going to be hopefully some guys slipping to us that we can get. I don't think Cooper, good old Coop DJ, will
No.
not come to us unless we trade up, but that's a possibility. But also trading out, that is a stronger possibility. So, again, we love you guys. Make sure you visit on your favorite site. You listen to Packers Blitz, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, packersblitz80 at gmail.com. If you think we are way off with our draft picks, I've posted some things on Twitter and have gotten back some unusual comments that were reaching on some picks, and that's cool. I love that. And then that's fine. That's what we want to have for you guys. So that's it. That is the end of our draft for 2024, at least our mock draft. We'll have the real draft coming on Thursday. And yeah, anything else, Andy, before we wrap up?
Just wanted to say thank you, John, for all you do with our social media accounts and whatnot. So
Yeah,
thank you
no
for that,
problem.
doing all the production work.
Yes.
Because we don't have a production team, do we, John?
No.
Sorry again for being way over time. I
Nah, we'll
promised
crack
and
it. We'll
didn't
get this
happen.
right.
So,
We'll get
but
it
I am
right
looking
next
forward to
next week.
Thursday. We're going to be having a lot of fun for about what 3.5, 4 hours.
3, 4 hours.
Yeah, right
Yeah.
about there. Yep. Packers
Yep.
will be
Okay.
picking right about 10 o'clock or so. Everybody Central
Yeah, a
Standard
little after.
Time.
Well, it depends how fast.
It depends.
If there's a bunch of trades,
Yep.
right?
It could
Then
be
we're
before that. It
screwed.
could be after that. Yeah.
It could be after that.
Yeah, you can go on the internet, everybody, and look that up. They have actually down to the minute every Packers selection
Uh,
in the first round the last
mm,
several years, if you really want to know. But on
alright.
average, it's right about 10 o'clock where they'll be picking. So, and typically
Mamma
we're
mia!
picking late all the time, which is great because we're a winning
Yeah.
franchise, right?
Yeah, we're winning.
We're
Yeah.
winning,
Damn right.
right?
Damn right.
We are winners.
Alright, buddy.
Go Pack, go!
We are winning. Go back, go. Love you, buddy. See you Thursday.